All right, guys, have you guys heard about The Day Before?
Yes.
I think Doc
Saw
streamed
Doc
it.
playing it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There was a couple of people that got on there. Yeah, yeah. So this was one of the, if not the highest, most wish-listed game on Steam for a very long time. Yeah. Whenever the trailer dropped, it was supposed to be this MMO zombie survival game where it was going to be fully open world, fully multiplayer MMO kind of feel to it, where you could get onto a server, you had to band with your friends if you wanted to, you kind of do your own thing, kind of like Rust, right? But in a post-apocalyptic zombie landscape. Maybe not to the full extent of Rust is, but similar to how that plays, right? Or Prey, or no, what's
it did kind of look like Rust.
Ark. Yeah. So they dropped the game, and then 4 days later, they announced that they were shutting the game down.
How much did they make people pay?
What?
Was it like $60?
I'm not exactly sure how much the retail price of it. Yeah, they've pulled it off.
Steam took it off. Yeah.
Early access here is 33 euros. This one guy posted.
So around $40 for us. 40 US. Yeah. So
damn.
Fantastic, or Fantastic, FNTASTIC, which was the development studio behind this, posted on Twitter. And this was posted on, December the 11th. Today we announced the closure of Fantastic Studio. Unfortunately, The Day Before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partners. We invested all our efforts, resources, and man-hours into the development of The Day Before, which was our first huge game. We really wanted to release new patches to reveal the full potential of the game, but unfortunately we don't have the funding to continue the work. It's important to note that we didn't take any money from the public during the development of The Day Before. There were no pre-orders or crowdfunding campaigns. We worked tirelessly for 5 years, pouring our blood, sweat, and tears into the game. At the moment, the future of The Day Before and Prop Night is unknown, but the servers will remain operational. We apologize if we didn't meet your expectations. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately, we miscalculated our capabilities. Creating games is an incredibly challenging endeavor. We're grateful to everyone who supported us during these difficult years. It's been a fantastic journey over the past 8 years. So 2015 opened the studio, 2017 released of The Wild 8, 2018 release of Dead Dozen, 2018 release of Radiant 1, 2021 release of Prop Night, and 2023 release of The Day Before. So after this, Esports Center said that Fantastic Studio, the developer of The Day Before game, seems to have changed their name to 8 Points following their shutdown announcement.
Company.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
I got some numbers.
Okay, what you got?
They sold 200,000 units.
Oh my God.
And they had 91K refunds. Because you know how the Steam has the thing?
Yeah.
People got on there and was like, and that just crushed them.
Well,
they didn't deliver.
No. So a little bit of a backstory here, because I've kind of been following this game off and on since the announcement of it. The development studio has pushed the release date of it back multiple times before they finally nailed this most recent release date down. And every time that they would push it back, they would say, we need to continue working on it. Sometimes they wouldn't announce the pushback date until a couple of days after the game was supposed to release. So it would hit the target date, the game wouldn't release. People would be like, yo, what are you doing? And they're like, oh yeah, we got to push the release date of it back just a little bit more. It's a classic case of someone releasing a lot of hype pinpoints and basically garnering enough hype within the community so that they feel obligated at that point that they have to release something. And instead of being transparent with the community before the game is released, they just release what they feel is the final product. Now, I'm not saying that studios can't do that, because Look at what happened with No Man's Sky. Look at what happened with Cyberpunk. Look at what's happened with a couple of these games that's came out within the last couple of years, where the developers weren't able to live up to the hype that they had built with their whole public relation, and then it just fell flat when it released. People got pissed off about it, and they gradually updated it and added the features into the game. Fantastic never did that. They were always behind the hype train, where it's like, no. It's going to be an open world MMO. It's going to be this fight for survival. It's coming to all consoles. It's going to be fully crossplay. The whole night, like, they just fed into the keywords, buzzwords. What trigger words can we use whenever we talk about this game to garner the most hype for it? Marketing wise, they did a phenomenal job. They knocked it out of the park. But execution, on the same level of high res to a specific degree, I would say, right? So it sucks that you have something with this much hype behind it release fall flat to the point where they say they're shutting the studio down. They're not. They're rebranding it and renaming it. I'm sure Fantastic Studio is owned by a parent company who's like, oh, we're abandoning this name. And because I think Prop Night and a couple of those other games have already changed their developer name on their Steam profiles to this 8 Points Studio.
Well, it's kind of a way of absolving responsibility for that failed studio as well.
Yeah, I mean, and my thing is like, at this point, if they're taking this much of a gamble, why didn't they set up a sister studio to just specifically handle, kind of like the way that High Res, First Watch, Evil Mojo, Titan Forge was? They had their sister companies that was all owned by the parent company. They could have done that, and it wouldn't have tarnished the reputation. First Watch Games didn't tarnish the reputation of High Res. It tarnished the reputation of First Watch Games, which no longer exists now. So, it's very interesting. And the fact that, like, this is where transparency is key, man. They should have came out before the game released and was like, hey, here's here's the developers playing it. This is what you can expect. They basically turned it from a survival MMO into an extraction shooter, which is fine. It's a zombie extraction shooter with a lot of bugs and a lot of issues that need to be combed out. But you're not delivering anything that you promise. You're changing your entire game type around. So, I mean, Garbo, what do you think about all this? Like, would you have played a survival MMO game with all of us getting together, trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, hoarding our resources together? Like, how does this sound to you?
I mean, I would be 100% down. I would 100% enjoy that aspect. Us trying to survive, like us having to like find materials and stuff, and like almost, yeah. I mean, it's almost like what Back 4 Blood, but even more realistic than Back 4 Blood.
Yeah,
and kind of mixed in with Escape from Tarkov.
Sounds kind of like DayZ.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, has a lot of DayZ vibes for sure.
I'm about it. Either or, like I'm super about it. Especially if all four of us are able to play. Is it 4-player? And is it crossplay?
No.
I mean, it was supposed to be
dead. Yeah,
yeah. They shut
because
that.
It's dead, exactly. Immediately. Yeah, it was 4 days. I heard him say all that.
Yeah,
I was just
I'm
asking
just fucking
if it was
with you, Garbo.
multiplayer and crossplay. Motherfucker.
I don't think it was crossplay. It was PC only, wasn't it?
No, they had plans to release every console version of it and the PC Steam version all at the same time with crossplay multiplayer right out of the gate. That was their plan. And then they released it in early access, a paid early access in Steam so that they could finish developing it. We've seen that happen time and time again. Like we're going to release it on Steam. We're going to fix some of the bugs. And then when we do the actual full release, it's going to be pushed to all the consoles. They made it 4 days before they're like,
according to those Steam stats,
they
made $20 million. Where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go?
Well, I don't know. And they said that they were going to fully refund everybody on Steam. So if you make, like, this is two different questions, but they all direct to the same thing. If you make, Corey, your company, Co-Read Studios, releases a game, right? And whenever you release it, doesn't quite live up to what customer expectations were. But you made $20 million off of that. What's your next move?
Start another game.
Shut it down, pull the plug?
Put
No,
that into something else.
keep that going. Try to make as much money off that as I can. Support the community so that money can keep flowing in. Take that money and do another game, and repeat the process.
I mean, how could you? Because I've seen some videos on this. All of the assets in the game were.
How do you spend $20 million to develop that game?
It says that's a revenue over 700,000.
And they're saying they're using all the money taken to pay off their partners.
I think
I think they're running off with some money because
sounds like a honeypot.
Yep.
You've seen better games that have flaunted that they've developed for less than that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. And this was just either bad money management or a scam.
Most people say scam.
If you say it's a Russian company, then I'm like, it's probably a fucking scam.
Looks like it.
Yeah. So, Dirt, I mean, what could fantastic, like, if this wasn't a scam to begin with, which a lot of people are saying that it was a scam, you know, but if this wasn't a scam to begin with, what moves could the developers have made to try to avoid this, not only backlash, but like full shutdown and reversal?
Transparency. I mean, they're like, the game's not ready. We lied. We're sorry. We got to push it back again. I mean,
yeah.
At this point, they got to shut that company down. Nobody's going to buy anything from that company.
Yeah.
Toast.
Yeah, right. So, that leads to an even broader topic here. Like, why do developers, and we've had a lot of experience with this over the last couple of years, but why do developers feel like that they can't be transparent, like 100% transparent with their communities? Yeah. Why do you think that is? I don't get it.
Answer that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
What's stopping them?
Yeah.
They always start with it, and it's like something happens, and they're like, mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, I understand the idea of not wanting to overhype something or talk about features that are still currently in development, because there may be an issue that the development team runs into where they can't pull those features into the final game or a future update for the game or whatever. I get that. But as far as like where you stand with the community, how your game is performing, what expectations you have of the community as a whole, like, why is transparency to that degree such a hard thing for developers to have? And
what happened to the roadmaps?
Exactly, right. And it seems like the more money that is getting dumped into games and development of games, the worse it gets, the more it turns into this corporate machine where you're not going to hear anything. We're not going to tell you anything. It's going to be what it's going to be. And you're just going to have to live with it. I feel like it's not genuine. It feels, that's why a lot of indie games get a lot of attention, because it's usually a small team of people that are developing a game. Look at Notch back in the day. Notch would just come out and be like, hey man, I'm thinking about adding this really cool feature into the game. What do you guys think? And then people will be like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Or, oh no, that might be kind of problematic. Oh, I've been working on this feature and I'm having issues with it. Here is a funny post about the feature where it's messing the game up. Like, Notch was handled handled it perfectly, in my opinion. At least for
Highest
the
selling
most.
game of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if some people would take some notes from that, like if some of our favorite games would just come out and be like, hey, like look at Fortnite, okay? Fortnite changed their movement mechanics up recently. And some people like them and some people hate them. I've seen posts from Epic that's like, hey, we're looking into the movement mechanics and we're trying to figure out ways to make it feel, there's new animations and new things associated with it. That's why it feels a little janky, currently, but we're looking into it. But I haven't seen the explanation come out as to, hey, this is why we're changing this. We feel like if we do this movement this way, this is the intended effect on this. And why can't we do that? Like, why can't they just be like, we feel like the TTK is too fast, and if we adjust the movement of the characters in game, then it'll help balance the TTK of the game out. And here's the negative effects you're going to experience, but here's the positive effects you're going to experience.
Yeah, here's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
If you are more transparent, then it would quell some of those loud voices. They're like, "Oh, look how this is going."
Well,
and it's like, well, if you look at the bigger picture, then you might like how this is going.
Exactly. And then it gives you a point of reference for playing the game. If the movement is supposed to be this specific way and things are supposed to act this specific way and it's not happening that way, then you can be like, oh, this is happening. This is what's happening when I do this, and this isn't intended. So can we get this looked at? Maybe the movement isn't the way that it's supposed to be, or it doesn't feel good because of a bug that is in the game that the developers don't know anything about. But they're the ones that are not putting that information out on Front Street as to why they're doing it and what the intention behind that is. So, like I said, I could be wrong. Epic could have came out and said, what the big picture, thing for it was. I just haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
So
I will say that I don't. Go ahead.
Well, good on Steam for having the refund day. I mean,
exactly.
Absolutely.
really.
And for shutting it down real quick.
Yeah, they're like, this is a scam. Like,
yeah.
That's still like what, $10 million? If half people got their money back?
Yeah.
Through and
cash
through,
grab.
Steam makes the right moves most of the time.
Yeah.
They're the only one I think you can do a refund.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can do a little refund on Epic, but you don't get the full amount.
And they give you like Epic bucks.
Yeah, it's like you got to spend it on here.
Yeah, I've refunded games on Steam that I just didn't like.
Yeah.
They give you so many days, so many hours in game.
Yep.
It's like, oh, it wasn't what you
Which
thought.
is dope.
Cool. That is cool.
Because back in the day, if you wanted to see if you wanted a game, you have to go to like Blockbuster to rent it for 5 days.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I like this enough to go drop $50 on it.
Yeah, what's crazy is that Steam still allowed them to pull their store page back up because
it's still there.
Well, before, like whenever it was the most wishlisted game, whenever they missed one of those release dates and didn't say anything to the community, Steam pulled their store page down and wouldn't give it back to them, wouldn't allow them to do anything with it or update it for a very long time until I guess they maybe submitted a version of the game to Steam. Like, I don't know how that works, but they got their page back and it went back up. People started wish listing it again and it went back on people's wish lists and all that stuff. So it's just, that's
the problem you run into when you let anyone submit a game.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So, and like I said, yeah, right. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it sounds like what they were trying to do and what they were promising was a great idea. And people are working on clones of that game, like legitimate clones. Whenever you search the day before on Twitter, you see people that are working on, what that game should have been. So this might have sparked inspiration or an idea in somebody else that's actually going to try to execute on it,
for the great game that's going to drop in this genre.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which will be dope to find out that, we end up playing a game. It's like, oh, this was the clone of the day before. Oh, cool. Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
They just
four
did it
guys in a
better.
bedroom,
Yeah.
and this company couldn't pull it off. Like,
Yeah. 10 million, you know,
I feel
20
like
million.
that they've proven in the gaming world that if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish it. We've played some great indie games over our lives.
Yeah. So,
dude, the one where the guy and his wife took years to fix it.
Cube World,
I mean, dude,
they're still working on
and
Cube World.
yeah, I mean that's like it might be 15 years, but
Yeah.
every time you get on there, it's like, yeah, this is cool.
Yep.
Didn't Minecraft
Good
start
people.
as an indie game?
Oh yeah, it's just Notch.
Yeah, it's the largest selling game in the world.
All time.
All time, yeah. Beat out
Microsoft bought
Mario.
him out, gave him like $1 billion.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude's sitting pretty now.
Yep. But yeah, we'll see if the day before inspires anybody to actually release a game like this. Hopefully it will, because I would love to play some type of game, you know, where there's a survival aspect that is an MMO, cross-play the whole 9 yards. But we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. But like, you know, this is just the negative side of game development, especially now where you have all the tools to do it. I can download, and I have downloaded Unreal Engine, and you can go in there and you can buy the asset packs. Like the city that the game took place in was an asset pack. They didn't even change anything. They just dropped it into the game. You know, the third person stuff was from Fortnite. They just dropped it into the game. The weapons were weapon packs that they bought on the Epic store, you know, the Unreal Engine store. They just dropped those into the game. Like basically what they did was they just pulled assets, paid for the assets, and then just dropped them into the game and then made a front end for people to use.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm sure is not easy, but still though.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the darker side of game development and of crowdfunding as well.
Yeah.
You crowdfund a game like this and then you get nothing from it.
Yeah. And then hitting all the keywords and buzzwords that people want to hear. So, but yeah, maybe this will inspire somebody. Hopefully it will. Hopefully,
Great concept.
yeah, hopefully it will.